ICT concept known as the power of three. Now, this was trending on Twitter quite some time ago, and I thought that would be a good topic to cover in detail and confirm some uncertainties around the concept. So, let's just start off at what it is. And we did briefly talk about this in another video, although it did flop. I think it has about 2 views, so perhaps this one is going to be better. So um, so this is what your typical setup is going to look like. You're going to have a period of accumulation, right? And what will happen is eventually you're going to see a break to one side. Now, it could very well continue up and have new highs, but a lot of the time you'll see a fake out, move down, up, down. You might even see something like this and like that, right? And where you'd be looking to get an entry if you wanted to minimize risk would be here. You'd be looking to enter there just on the slight retracement, but you'd be looking for a break of down below here. So you're going to be taking sell side liquidity. Well, you're taking buy side first, then sell side, and then you're going to have a retracement back into the range, which is where you're going to aim for your short, and then continuation. And if you're looking at this in terms of the power of threes, this is going to be your accumulation phase. This is going to be known as your manipulation phase, also known as I'd call it a liquidity grab. And then this is going to be distribution, right? So just whenever you're selling off is known as distribution. And the same goes then for the opposite direction. And generally also as well, price may be coming down like that. Or it could be a top. It could be coming from either direction. And I'm going to show you an example of one that looks exactly like this. So keep this in your mind. I'll just come back to it whenever I explain it. So then alternatively, if you were looking at something a bit more bullish, then you'd have your accumulation phase again. But what you will see this time is a break to the lower end, right? This, then a fall back into the range, which is where you're going to get your entry before going higher, right? And essentially what we're seeing here is a break of or like a sell side liquidity grab, followed by a buy side liquidity grab, back into the range, and then continuation higher. And if we're going to be using the power of three terms, we're looking at accumulation here as per the other one, manipulation again as per this one as well, except this is obviously going to have a different term, as it's not distribution, it's expansion. And you're going to be looking at an entry in and around here. So on both of these setups, you can go for an entry. I'll get the arrow out right there. And here. Now, if once you get more experienced, you could in fact start getting entries in here. Although would recommend very tight stop loss. Although it's not something you can really teach. I've never really found the method for it. I've just sort of been able to tell whenever, like, I don't know, it's almost instinct now. I can just tell this kind of looks a bit we'll use the terminology they use. It looks like a bit of a manipulation. Perhaps it's worth a long here or short. what I'll do is, if it breaks the low and we sort of see it stalling a little, what would happen is, I've found, we'll have really strong sell off, like no green candles at all, bit of a stalling, and that's where I'll try enter, and hopefully it reverses. Great example of that on Euro USD. Actually, uh, just Friday past that I took was here. So you had like a really strong, like you could argue. Hang on, so actually it might even be better shown on the hourly perhaps. But look, this was our bottom, like the. I'll show you on the 4 hour. Like this looks like it just keeps coming down. So this was our, all these were new lows. See what I'm saying? So essentially what happened was, this was a low created, took it, sell side, reversed, took it, reversed. And what I saw here was a really strong sell off, like really strong. Sort of stalled here, don't know if you can see that. I went long and I rode it up to about there. I sold slightly early. So yeah, that's a really good example of that. Not necessarily power of threes at all, but just knowing um how to sort of enter at that manipulation phase rather than getting in on the retracement back within the range. So now we're going to be looking at some examples. So as I said with the other one, you can actually get this pattern occurring from both ways, continuation, or it could be reversal like that. Yeah, so I'm gonna actually show you this one. Remember, I told you guys to keep an eye on this. In fact, you know what? I'll take a screenshot of this, and you can see how similar it is whenever I get this chart up now. And this is on Euro USD. I've talked about this a few times, mostly because I got it right, and I was quite chuffed with myself. But one of my best trades in a while. But as you can see here, look, we're doing some crazy pumping. We have a bit of accumulation here. We sort of settle the kettle, you know. We just relax. We'll say this is our accumulation phase. Then we have we actually take buy side liquidity with these few candles here. Call this your manipulation phase, followed by a very, very, very strong distribution. Sorry. All right. And so even if we're not gonna, like, realistically you're gonna have sold, but you're telling me you see this. Do you see the correlation here? Look, this is pitch perfect. Accumulation, bosh, manipulation, takes buy side, back in, you would enter here, voila. You could probably would have gotten off there even, or here at most. You would have made a crazy return. So that's all I'm going to be showing you on the power of threes. It's an absolutely mental strategy. I use it all the time, and I would recommend you do so too.